공익광고협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Already entering the second week of September. But what about the heat? The heat refuses to die down. This past weekend was Baekno, one of the 24 solar cycles where we're supposed to start seeing some dew from the drop in nighttime temperatures. But the weekend actually saw a return of tropical nights in some parts of the country. The climate is defying all conventional wisdom, and we will need to brace ourselves for another hot week. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, September 9th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. And I really thought, okay, this is the weekend where things are going to cool down. That's what I thought. And technically, it might be fall, at least according to the calendar. However, it seems the weather has not gotten that message yet. Mother Nature playing a different tune. So we're coming off another hot weather weekend with daytime highs going over 30 degrees. And these temperatures are going to prevail throughout the week. In fact, this summer was the world's warmest on record, according to the Copernicus Climate Service. We call it C3S. So August was also the 13th month where the global average temperature exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial revolution period. So far this year, the global average temperature has been 0.7 degree above the 1991 to 2020 average, which is the highest on record. The European Union's climate service said that it is likely that 2024 will be the warmest year on record globally. And so although we've been feeling it and talking about it, I guess it's going to be official after this summer. We'll see. You know, and this was disastrous, not just uncomfortable, but disastrous in parts of the world. So over 300,000 people were affected by heavy rains in Sudan, with floodwaters also bringing back things like cholera. And Typhoon Kemi in July killed over 100 across the Philippines, Taiwan, and China. So the heat wave has been responsible for over 1,000 deaths in Saudi Arabia during the Hajj pilgrimage as well. It seems like the Earth's alarm is ringing loudly during this historic heat wave. And it seems that this alarm is going to be going off for at least some time longer, at least for the time being. So, yes, we were hoping we could report on cooler, weather this week. Apparently not. We'll get the details of that in our weather report in just a little bit. Time for a text topic. Wavers, are you ready? What song, personally, for you, has the best lyrics? So think about that. And when you listen to a song, do you listen to the melody first, or is it the lyrics first? What gets you? What kind of captivates you when you listen to a song? 나의 심금을 울리는 노래 가사는. 가사 진짜 중요하잖아요. 여러분 노래 들으실 때 나는 멜로디와 가사 그 중 어떤 것을 먼저 들으시는지. So sometimes I think it depends on the song, but really, I want to know, are you a melody first kind of person or a lyrics first kind of person? 어떤 게 먼저 들리는지, the melody, or the lyrics, the words of the song. You can send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. And while you're there, that platform, what you do is you subscribe. Yes, and then you log in and you can chat away with our other wavers. You can search for BEFM or 부산 영어 방송 on that platform. Also, pound 9050 on your phone. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free on our KakaoTalk channel. Same thing, search for BEFM or Busan 영어 방송. The different ways you can listen to us. Oh, there are so many ways. On the radio, 90.5. 103.3 FM, depending on where you are in the vicinity of Busan. Like I said, on our YouTube channel, live in real time, like right now, we're live. You can also watch again on that platform later on at your leisure. We also have the Patbang app too. Looking ahead to our Monday morning together, let's see. We have Michael coming in for Showbiz Buzz. We also have Business Perspectives with Bobby. Our special interview today, we're going to be focusing on, remember that recent news that in Afghanistan, the Taliban, they were imposing new strict crackdowns on even women's voices in public. And the fact that, you know, they already have some of the strictest, toughest laws in the world that are obviously very anti-women. This is going one step further. So we're going to talk about this in hour number 2. That's coming up. In the meantime, I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 7:06 and these are today's headlines. North Korea launches trash balloons for a 5th day. North Korea sent more trash balloons towards South Korea yesterday in its 5th straight day of such launches, according to the Joint Chiefs of Staffs, or JCS. Government and doctors group torn again over med school quota hike withdrawal for 2025. Officials from the Korean Medical Association, or KMA, demanded that the government cancel its plans to raise the medical school admissions quota for both 2025 and 2026 as a precondition to possible talks with the Joint Consultative Body. Military pulls soldiers' photos from its intranet due to deep fake concerns. Photos of soldiers, military, and defense ministry officials have been made unavailable over military intranet over concerns that they could be abused to make sexually abusive deep fake images. South Korea exceeds Paralympics goal with 6 gold medals. Table tennis's Kim Young-gun won the 6th gold medal for South Korea as the country wraps up the games with 6 gold medals, 10 silver, and 14 bronze, putting it in 22nd place. "14 dead in Vietnam as Typhoon Yagi causes a landslide. At least 14 people have died and 176 injured from Typhoon Yagi as Asia's most powerful typhoon this year ripped through Vietnam." And these are today's headlines. It's time to check in with Haley for Busan Updates. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Busy filled. I went to a friend's house and she gave me all of her old clothes, which were kind of like new. Yeah, including this.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
she was like, "Do you want these?" I'm like, "Yeah."
You're like, sure.
She's like, "Do you want to try them?" "No, I'll just take them."
Oh, nice,
We have 3
nice.
women in our home. Someone will wear them. Yeah.
Nice. What a great friend. So today we're talking about songs, right?
Yes.
And I don't know, I get like sentimental during fall, but it doesn't feel like fall.
well,
That's the whole
what
thing,
fall?
right?
Like
I know,
when?
it's like summer, right? The thing is, do you listen to like the lyrics first or the melody first, or how does it go for you in
I think
your
the
mind?
melody definitely catches you, but whether I really love that song and I listen to it on repeat is the lyrics. I'm definitely a words person.
Yes.
Yes.
And sometimes like I feel like I like a song and then like I don't think about the lyrics because it's so catchy.
Right. Oh my
And
God.
then you like
kind
start
of
realize you're like,
and you're like,
what are they saying?
and your eyes just like widen. You're like,
Oh, yeah, there's a different meaning.
right. Or like, so yeah. And then especially like pop songs, like,
Yes.
like English pop songs that get really popular in Korea.
Right.
And you hear them on the street and you like actually listen to the music and you're like, kids should, like
Not
my
be
nephew
listening.
should not have been singing this
Exactly.
song. I was like,
Right.
Yeah.
Like one song I like, Watermelon Sugar.
I was going,
like the lyrics. I was just like, oh, that's what it means.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yes, great song. We're going to dive into our first update. Some disappointing news regarding the Gadok Airport construction.
Right. So the public bid process for the contractor to do the construction of the airport property, that's been in process for a while. So round 3 of the bidding ended last week without a contractor because only one applicant submitted their bid.
Yes.
So the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure and Transport announced that Hyundai Construction Consortium was the one and only bidder. So the ministry is trying to find other bidders because of the because of the difficulty level of the construction of that property, this is unlikely it's going to
Yes,
happen.
yes.
And Hyundai Consortium, because it is a consortium, it already has many local companies within this group. So finding a local company to take on that project would be hard as well. So no one's shown much interest.
Yes. So will the ministry strike a deal with Hyundai though?
Well, this is the thing. It can, but does it want to? That's the issue. Not that it doesn't want Hyundai to take over the construction, but it's just how the the negotiations will work out. Because if it signs at this point a single party private contract as opposed to a public bidding process,
Yes.
then Hyundai has more leverage as opposed to there being
yes.
a lot of competitors. Then they can bring down prices. So the city then won't get, and the ministry won't get as many favorable deals as it would had there been a competitor. Also, this may cause some problems in the upcoming parliamentary inspection of the government if there's only one contractor, one bidder for the contract.
Right.
But then putting out another call, round 4 of the public bidding process, well, that puts potential delays in the timeline. And remember, we're trying to get the airport up and running by December 2029.
Right, that is the goal. So we'll see if that does happen, if we can stay on schedule. Let's talk next about the Busan Biennale. It's been going on for about a month now, but one of the city's biggest biannual art festivals is actually without its own venue or place.
Right. I mean, that is the beauty of the Biennale, that
Yes.
it's taking place across the city, but mainly at the Museum of Contemporary Art Busan, along with other sites like the Modern and Contemporary History Museum that's
Right.
in the old downtown area, Hansong 1918, and Choryangje. However, in the 22 years of the history of the Biennale, it's never had its own dedicated space. So for the first 14 years, it was at the city's art museum, the Busan Museum of Art. And then ever since 2018, it's been at the Contemporary Art Museum. Actually, when the Contemporary Art Museum was built, it was supposed to be a dedicated space for the Biennale, but that never really came to fruition.
I see.
So this is despite the Biennale being very successful both in its popular appeal and also critical acclaim. It's been acclaimed for trying to push boundaries of modern art and building an international network. And even the UK's modern art media, Frise, named the Biennale as one of the top 10 exhibitions of the world.
Sure.
But here's the problem, that not having a singular space really cuts down from the experience. So I was there, was it last Friday or a couple of Fridays before, towards the opening. And of course, the Contemporary Art Museum, beautiful space, but the Biennale exhibitions are broken down into 3 different floors because
Yes.
that's just how the museum is placed. So that kind of, it does make you wonder, is that flow because of the space restrictions, or is this what the artist intended? And then also having to work with different spaces each time, that really poses challenges for them. And then lastly, from the viewers, the audience's perspective, the Contemporary Art Museum is kind of away from, it's on Ursukdo Island,
Right,
away from
right.
the popular downtown area. So unless you have a car, it's kind of hard to get to. So that could really pose some access problems.
Indeed. Well, good points. So we'll see if they ever get their own kind of venue.
right.
All right, next up, though, let's talk about this. The Busan Office of Education has announced stern measures not just against deep fake porn, but also secondary victimization.
Right. So Busan's Education Office is taking fast steps to address this issue of deepfake sexual crimes issue. So last week, it announced comprehensive comprehensive measures including heightening education, support for the victims, and working with other relevant institutions. So the office will have its vice education superintendent run the deepfake eradication team, and that'll cover support, digital ethics, parental support, and media response.
Right, but we also need to talk about punishment.
Right. So the head of the schools, they must take urgent measures to make sure that the perpetrator cannot contact the victims. But then this is separate from like actual physical separation,
Right.
moving classes, or even suspending or making them move schools. But if the student violates this ban on trying to contact the victims, they can be suspended or expelled. And the education office will also create material on various cyber crimes and hand them out for the next school year in March.
Right, right. So that's what's going on. And I believe the schools locally, they've been very busy trying to educate the students. So hopefully, yes, that will help eradicate this. Next up, we're going to talk about Busan's public institutions, which are hiring.
Right. So a total of 15 institutions in Busan are hiring collectively 183 people. The biggest employers will include the Busan Infrastructure Corporation with 85 job openings, the Environment Corporation at 29, the Cinema Center at 11, Busan Culture Center at 10 openings, and so on. So the applications will open from September 20th to the 26th at 5 p.m. at busan.saramin.co.kr. You can only apply to one institution. The written test will be on October 9th with interviews to follow.
I see. So good luck to everybody out there who applies. Okay, last, let's talk about this. A special sales event. It's going on for Chuseok.
Right, because prices are what they are. We're going to try to cut them down as much as possible. So Busan City is actually giving you cash back or gift certificates back in the Onnuri certificates. And that event takes place from today until the 15th if you buy fresh produce or agricultural products at traditional markets.
Yes.
So if you buy Korea-produced fresh agricultural or fisheries products from the 8 participating traditional markets in Busan, you'll get up to 30% of the total you spent back in the Onnuri certificates, which you can spend like cash once again.
Yes, yes. So this is, of course, any help that we can get ahead of Chuseok, we will take. So thank you for this. All the updates. We'll check in with you real soon. All right, back to you, the listeners, for our text topic real quick before our traffic and weather. We're talking about songs today. Lyrics. So for you, which song has the best lyrics? 가사가 나한테는 가장 의미가 있다. Just really, is the best in terms of lyrics. And also, when you listen to a song, is it melody first or lyrics first? Which is more important to you? Which captures your soul? Here is your traffic and weather. It is now 7:17. Here's your traffic report on this Monday morning. It's looking slow on Luno Samsung-daedo from Myeongji underpass to Shino Bridge. Also congestion on Dongso overpass from the Hwangryong ramp to the old Kaegum toll gate. Currently it's 27 degrees Celsius under cloudy skies. The daytime high, it's going to go up to 32 degrees Celsius. The sun is going to be back out throughout the afternoon. Looking at some of the weather across the country, we have late summer heat that's going to persist across the country, and some areas of the capital, plus Jeolla, Gyeongsang, and Gangwon will see showers. This was your traffic and weather.
Are you an early bird? Are you up to date on the news? Are you a trendsetter? For all of the biggest issues from Busan to the world and useful information you need, right here on Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for News Digest. So with Haley, we're going to get into our first bit of news. The discussions over this medical reform consultative body. What's going on?
Right. So possible breakthrough, although at the rate that things are going right now, maybe not. So the government, the ruling People Power Party, the opposition Democratic Party, they all agreed to form this joint consultative body, which would include representatives from the political parties, the government, and the medical community. So things, at least on the political side, they took a turn on Friday, which also happened to be day 199 of the trainee doctors' walkout. So the PPP's floor leader, Chu Kyung-ho, actually floated this, saying that the ruling party and the government are open to going back to square one and discussing the medical quota expansion for 2026
Yes.
and other reform issues. But that 2026 bit is important. And also the party's chair, Han Dong-un, during a press briefing, he's someone that proposed the specific consultative body to seek a reasonable alternative to the ongoing medical school quota expansion. So that was actually a huge turnaround from the previous position where the government had said that the 2,000 person addition to the 2026 quota was set in stone. And then a senior aide from Yongsan, the presidential office, also told the press that they are open to discussions and they won't be tied down to that figure if the medical community brings a reasonable alternative.
Okay.
And then to the other side of the aisle, the DP backed this up, welcoming this change of pace, saying that this is better late than never. But pundits say that the pressure ahead of the Chuseok holidays may have prompted at least this bipartisan agreement over the consultative body.
I see. But the biggest piece of this puzzle is how the doctors' community will respond to the proposal.
And they're not quite welcoming this with open arms. So the Korea Medical Association issued kind of a one-line statement saying that, well, what is the reason and the evidence that the government cannot discuss a quota for 2025? So that's next year from the beginning. So this follows the Office of Government Coordination saying that the medical community needs to submit its input. Otherwise, any discussions for 2026 would be impossible.
Yes.
So at least judging by these positions, we won't see an immediate and dramatic breakthrough.
So nothing quite yet. Well, we're going to move on to another issue that's been in the public eye for some time right now. The First Lady's luxury bag scandal. It finally may be coming to a close.
Right. So the anti-corruption, so let's walk through this saga that Dior bag has brought up. So
Yes.
first, the Anti-Corruption and the Civil Rights Commission, it ruled that a spouse of a public official is not subject to the Anti-Graft Act. And then Seoul Central Prosecution deemed that there was no criminality to this case and decided to not press charges. However, the prosecutor general, who's, the big boss of the prosecution, he passed the case on to the prosecution's investigation assessment committee. So this is comprised of outside experts, and the committee looks at whether an investigation followed the necessary procedures and reached a reasonable conclusion.
Yes.
So this assessment committee on Friday recommended that Kim Gun-hee not be charged, so agreeing with the prosecution's direction. So this came after they weighed statements by Kim, Pastor Choi Jae-young, who gave her the bag, as well as the legality of the cases. So the key here was that there is no law that can punish spouses of public officials for accepting monetary goods. And there's no relevance between the bag that she received and the president's job. So the assessment committee, they did not disclose the details of the ruling, so there's a bit of controversy still there.
Ah, yes, indeed. So we want to know, is this case, is it done finally then?
Well, officially, yes. They've gone through every single official channel that the case could go through.
Okay.
And it does back up the prosecution conclusion to not press charges against the First Lady. However, it is clear because there is video evidence that Kim did take the luxury bag from the pastor. So the legality of the case, at least under the current law, may be different than, say, the court of public opinion, who have seen that passing of the good.
Yes.
So the prosecution itself also went through some problems, revealing potential fracture lines within the organization because the head of the Seoul Central Prosecution, in announcing the results of this case, kind of went above his boss, the prosecutor general.
Okay.
So that led to a bit of friction, a very public bit of friction between these two organizations within the prosecution.
I see. Well, we're going to put it aside for now. I don't know if we're going to talk about it again, but on to our next issue. We're going to talk about outgoing Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. Fumio. He came to South Korea for basically his last summit with President Yoon Suk-yeol, right?
Right. So Kishida Fumio wrapped up his visit on Friday and Saturday, meeting with President Yoon Suk-yeol for his 12th and, likely the last summit, along with the state reception.
Yes.
So this was kind of widely seen as his legacy building trip to finalize and solidify the Japanese Prime Minister's biggest achievement during his tenure, which was repairing relations with South Korea. So here the two leaders assess their achievements as building a crucial foundation for the South Korea, U.S. and Japan trilateral relations.
Okay.
With President Yoon saying that it is important for the two countries to continue this positive momentum, even with Kishida out of office with his successor.
Okay.
As for Kishida himself, he pointed to next year being the 60th anniversary of South Korea and Japan normalizing their bilateral relations, and also pointed to the importance of making sure that the people of the two countries can actually feel the fruits of their improved relations.
And to that end, there were some significant agreements struck at the summit.
Right. So the two countries here agreed to signed an agreement to cooperate to protect their nationals who are living or staying overseas. So that provides a foundation to protect the two countries' citizens that are even in other nations. And then also, given that about 10 million people from both South Korea and Japan come and go between the two countries each year, they're going to simplify the customs and immigration processes between the two nations.
I see. But what about the whole issue of matters from the past? I mean, it seems that the general assessment is that there was no real progress made.
No. So the whole foundation of these improved relations under the Yoon Kishida administrations was that South Korea kind of gave way, took a step back in settling matters of the past.
Right.
And so South Korea's official government approach was that we're going to take a glass half full approach, meaning it did say that if South Korea fills one half the cup, then Japan will fill the other half. That cup remains half full, half empty, whatever wording you want to choose, but it's still half.
Yes.
So that included taking a step back in the compensations issue for forced laborers. So South Korean court ruled that Japanese corporations who use forced labor during the war are liable to compensate the victims.
Yes.
So South Korea actually kind of took a step back and they set up a South Korean foundation for Japanese corporations that committed these, war crimes to pitch in voluntarily and provide money for the funding. No company has done that in the years that this foundation has been set up. Also, on top of that, Japan continues to stake claims over Dokdo in its military, diplomatic, and textbooks, and also send offerings, as well as having lawmakers visit the controversial Yasukuni Shrine, where multiple Class A war criminals are buried. So to that end, Prime Minister Kishida said that he carries down the previous government's positions on historical perceptions, and he thinks, and this is a direct quote, "It is painful that so many people had hard and sad experiences in the difficult environment of the past," which is very vague.
Very.
Which points to no specifics. So the two leaders are looking ahead to, especially next year being the 60th anniversary, but you do need a solid foundation to build further relations, and that foundation does include matters of the past. And so that's where we are.
All right. So that's what happened with the summit, the two sides, Korea and Japan. Okay. Lastly, we are slowly, somehow inching towards fall. We are fall, 가을, and this is apparently a season with a high number of traffic accidents.
Right. So a lot of people are taking, those tour buses to see the fall foliage.
Yes.
There's a lot of travel planned for the Chuseok weekend. But keep in mind that about 30% of traffic accident deaths happen in the fall. And this is according to the Korea Road or Co-Roads data across last 3 years.
Yes.
So of the 8,000 traffic accident-related deaths from this period, 2,403 of them happened in the September through November months.
Okay.
The highest was actually in October, accounting for 10% of the total, followed by 9.7% in November and 9% in September. the figures being far above the monthly average.
Question is why?
Right. So more
it
people,
because-
tour buses. And it's not just vehicles like
Yes.
your personal cars, but tour buses where
see.
dozens of people are inside at once. So there were over 530 accidents for regularly scheduled buses like the express buses and over 110 charter buses, the private buses on average.
Sure.
And that's during the autumn months. And this is way above the 480, 88 annual average, respectively. That's because there's just higher volume. More buses are going to the mountains and the forest for full foliage watching. And also the cause of accidents being drivers dozing off behind the wheel or express speeding on expressways. So that can cause higher casualties. So the authorities for the drivers advise not speeding and taking appropriate rest, also not cutting people off. Also for passengers to always keep their seatbelts on. They do this less, but the whole singing and dancing on the buses that can also distract from the drivers. And then also if you're not going to be in your seat strapped down, so that can cause, that can lead to higher risks of you getting hurt if there's an accident. Also, fall mornings and evenings see more foggy conditions. You're talking about how foggy it was this weekend when you were
When I was in Gyeongju. it was so
Right,
foggy.
right.
Yes.
And Gyeongju, by the way, is a very popular fall
It
mountain
is.
spot.
Yes.
So that decreases visibility, especially also for motorcycles as well. So motorcycles see about 10 times as many accidents, casualties when it's foggy.
Indeed. So let's keep this in mind as we approach, the fall foliage season. And if you're going to take a tour bus, make sure you're seated and wear your seatbelt. All right. Thank you for all the news. We'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right. It's time for our first song break because today we're talking about songs, great lyrics, melody, lyrics. What's more important? How about this one? Love Never Felt So Good by Michael Jackson.
Dance. Let me see you move. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Dance. Let me see you move.
Love never felt so good. And I died if it ever could. Not like you hold me, oh baby. Love never felt so fine. And I died above mine. Not like you hold me. And the night is gonna be just fine. Gotta fly, gotta see, suddenly I can take it. 'Cause baby, every time I love you, in on my line, in on baby. Tell me if you really love me, in on my line, in on baby. Baby, 'cause love never felt so good.
Baby, love never felt so fine. And I doubt if it was ever mine. Not like you hold me, hold me. Ooh, baby, love never felt so good. And I doubt if it ever could. Not like you hold me, hold me. In the night, through the thick and thin.
Gotta fly, gotta see, suddenly I can take it. 'Cause baby, every time I love you, it's in on the line, in on baby. Tell me if you really love me, it's in on the line, in on baby. Baby, love felt so good. Yeah, so no, it never felt so good. Never felt so good. Never felt so good. Never felt so good. Alright, that's fine.
Welcome back, everybody. It's now 7:34, and so today, it should be kind of temperature-wise, like, you know, we were hoping for a drop, but it's just not. It's just so hot. And I know we've been saying it like a broken record for like how many months on end, how many weeks, like when is it gonna just get cooler? Well, I think saying that we have had a hot summer is like the biggest understatement ever. But one upside of this stifling summer, I don't know, is there an upside? Okay, at least one. It's been too hot for the mosquitoes. That's an upside. That's according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency, or KDCA. There's been a 20% drop in the number of mosquitoes caught for sampling. Mosquitoes can't control their body temperature, so such hot weather actually drives up their metabolism like too much, to the point where they die earlier than normal. And I shouldn't be smiling about, like, you know, dying and, you know, but it's mosquitoes. It's okay. On top of that, the heat also dried up puddles and creeks where mosquitoes lay their eggs. But here's the thing. Mosquitoes, they're coming back as temperatures are cooling slightly. So they're coming back. On top of this, Japanese encephalitis carriers, 일본 내염 carriers, are also on the uptick. So with climate change, mosquito season may also be shifting from summer to early fall. So we're going to have to be prepared as we go out for all those fall activities, right? Now it is time for our text topic. Which song for you has the best lyrics? When you listen to a song, is it melody? Is it the lyrics? What's most important to you? What kind of catches your attention first? So looking at some of your responses, it seems that for Drift Monkey, he says melody is, of course, what catches you first, and then lyrics become the deal breaker. Oh, what about deal maker? Yeah, meaning that if it's a song with good lyrics, yeah, you'll listen to it over, and then the lyrics not so good, maybe. But sometimes the melody is so catchy, right? Let's think about like all the really, really hot songs, even like, you know, Gangnam Style. Like, have you thought about the lyrics, or are you like into the beat of the music? Is my whole point. I'm not saying the lyrics are bad, but I think like the pumping music of the bass and all that of certain songs really gets you, and then you're singing along, and sometimes you're thinking, what am I singing? 가사 생각 없이 그냥 부를 때도 있잖아요. So yes, I think it really does depend. JB says this. For hip hop, he says it's the melody, meaning probably like the beat, right? And then for ballads, he says it's the lyrics. For ballads, yeah, you can't leave out the lyrics. All right, and Tommy says, I love the lyrics of Desperado. So that's one of his favorite. And some people are like posting their favorite lyrics, like Souvenir saying like, 멜로디를 먼저 듣는데 가사가 귀에 꽂히는 노래들도 있더라고요. So basically, they listen to the melody, but definitely some lyrics really, really like, you know, they get you in the heart, right? Well, with that in mind, we're going to get to Kat's pick for today. All right, so starting today, we're calling a hot clip Kat's pick, because that's literally what I do. I pick the clip. So today it's something quite serious. We're going to talk about this case, and this is a trigger warning. I'm going to be talking about sexual assault. Well, this 71-year-old Giselle Pellico, she has been so brave talking about this terrible case. Let's listen to the BBC.
court in France has heard shocking testimony from a woman whose husband is accused of enlisting dozens of strangers to rape her after having her drugged. The abuse is said to have gone on for over a decade, with the husband filming what happened. Today, the woman, Giselle Pellicot, who's abandoned her right to anonymity, told the court of her horror at discovering what had been done to her.
In a courthouse in the city of Avignon, one woman's voice shook France to the core today. This is Giselle Pellicot, walking tall, choosing to face the cameras as she came to tell her bone-chilling story. On trial here are these 51 Frenchmen, all accused of raping Pellicot as she lay unconscious in her own bed, drugged by her own husband. In the courtroom, facing that husband, pictured standing here, Pellicot described the moment her happy marriage collapsed, when a French policeman showed her pictures from her husband's laptop, pictures of strangers raping her. Her testimony spoken here by a translator.
It was hard to recognize myself. Then the officer showed me a second photo, and a third. I asked him to stop. It was unbearable. I was lifeless in my bed, and a man was raping me. My world fell apart. I'm speaking now not for myself, but for all the women who are drugged and abused.
After giving evidence, Pellicot kept her composure in front of the media.
I think I've said everything I could. It's not easy, there is a lot of pressure. We're going to have to fight to the end. This trial is going to last 4 months.
Pellicot's husband, Dominique, has already confessed to everything, to repeatedly drugging his wife over the course of more than a decade. But many of the other men, also on trial for raping her, have told police that either they didn't realize she was unconscious or they assumed her husband's consent was enough. But that kind of argument has provoked fury. Today, the husband's lawyer said other accused might argue it was sex, not rape. But when the videos themselves are shown in court, there will be no doubt what really happened.
This case, I just can't believe it. It's a true story. It's like, okay, so basically, once again, as you heard, but there were 200 instances of rape, most of them by the husband, so-called husband, and more than 90 by strangers. And how did she find out? The police contacted her and said, hey, we want to confirm that this is you. And she just, I don't know, just her life turned upside down. Her children too. So anyhow, this unfortunately was Kat's pick for Monday.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is now time for our Monday segment. This is Showbiz Buzz. We have Michael in this. Oh, we were so down today. Are you okay?
I don't know why. But there are times like this.
Oh, you're
Right.
you're feeling a little down.
가끔씩 이럴 때 있죠.
진짜요? 가을
가을인가?
타요?
가을인가? I don't know.
End of summer?
And the summer?
타요?
Well, I'm glad that summer's going. To be
It
honest.
needs to go. We're
Yes.
so over summer. I'm sorry, summer. but,
Exactly.
Please go away.
Yeah, but I don't know. 감성 is a whole different thing, you know?
But today we're talking about songs. So I want to ask you, as a musician, and by the way, I had the honor of listening to Michael's beautiful voice live on
부끄럽습니다.
stage on Saturday. And there were 4 musicians on stage, your group. But when you sang, especially towards the end, I had chills. I was like, 역시 감독님.
Yeah, so
마이클님 진짜 와.
there was this
대단하세요.
English speaking contest, right?
Yes, we had the BFM Junggu speech contest.
Yeah.
That was on Saturday, yes.
Yeah, and
he performed.
we did a short performance during the 집계 time or scoring
Scoring
I guess,
of the
session.
yes.
We had a lot of fun.
It was. All right, so I need to ask you, when we talk about music and songs, lyrics versus the melody, what captivates you first?
Well, to me, I think I should say it's the melody.
Melody.
Yeah, melody comes first all the time. So what I usually do is I write the melody first, and then I write down the lyrics after that.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. As a musician, right? And JB is already saying 노래 한 곡 주셔야 될 듯한데요. He was like, there was like an ABBA, you say there were groups saying like this. Host of like ABBA songs. It was so great.
Dancing Queen, feel the beat like a tambourine. Oh yeah. Like that.
Ooh.
오늘
영혼이
조금
없다,
근데
오늘.
I don't know why, but
왜이세요,
I can't feel the energy for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hopefully we can revitalize you. We can.
Hopefully, yes.
Let's jump into Showbiz Buzz. What do you have for us?
Yes. So first off, 한국 음악 레이블 산업협회. So that's Record Label Industry Association with Sound Republica is launching a .music domain in Korea.
Oh, what does this mean though?
So what that means is you type in a address for a web page, for example. Usually you type in something.co.kr, right? But now you'll be able to type in .music,
Ooh.
and then it will take you to a website of variety of artists, composers, and music music whatnot, industry experts and whatnot.
Sure.
So the registrations for the .music domain service will begin on October 8th. So that aligns with the global launch date. So this is not just in Korea. This is going to be a global thing and can be completed through the 한국 음악 레이블 산업협회 and Sound Republica. So
Yes.
those who sign up during the pre-launch event, which runs until September 10th, will receive the first year of domain usage free of charge,
Okay.
which is a $70 value. So popular artists such as Taylor Swift and Lady Gaga, along with music services like Spotify, have already confirmed their use of the domain prior to its official launch,
Yes.
according to the LIAK and Sound Republica. Yeah.
So this is something that, musicians and for just us people who enjoy listening to music can both benefit from. So,
Exactly. It's going to be
yes.
fun because for me, it will be like, Kanyu.music. Yeah, that's kind of cool, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling us about this. Very important
Yeah.
to the music world. Let's move on to our next item, though.
Okay. And next month.
Yes.
Yeah. There is the one and only BIFF coming up in Busan, which is the Busan 국제 영화제. Yeah.
Biff.
And actors Park Bo-young and An Jae-hong
Yes.
will be hosting the
Ooh.
festival in October. So this is going to be the 29th Busan International Film Festival. And for the opening ceremony, the two actors and actresses will be joining for the opening ceremony. It's going to take place, as it did last year and the previous year, at the Busan Cinema Center.
Yes.
Yeah, Yeongwhai Jeondang in Haeundae District. Park Bo-young is very famous for appearing in the comedy drama film Collective Invention or 돌연변이 and the horror film The Silence or 경성학교 사라진 소녀들.
Yes.
And Busan 국제영화제 BIFF is one of Korea's biggest film events, and it's
Yes.
beginning on October 2nd and it will run through October 11th. So this year, the total of 224 films will be screened, including Netflix's Korean historical film Uprising or 전란,
Yes.
and BTS member RM's documentary RM, Right People, Wrong Place.
Yes. And so this is I get excited every time, like every fall, because this is like one of the biggest festivals in Korea, but it's, right in their backyard.
Yeah, and it's cooling down. It's autumn.
Yes. Hopefully by October. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
The temperatures will have dropped.
Come on, it's Chuseok,
I know,
and
Chuseok is next week.
It's next week, and it's supposed to be, things should be cooling down by now.
Yes, Michael's angry. Cool down. We want the weather to cool down.
Yes.
Yes, all right. What about our next bit of news?
A little bit of a controversial issue. New Jeans.
Yes.
And New Jeans has its own music video director, right? And apparently the music video director accused Adore, which is NewJeans' production and management company,
Right.
and HYBE of retaliation after he refused a project. And the music video director somehow decided to support Min Hee-jin. So what happened is NewJeans' music video director Shin Woo-seok has accused current Adore executives and HYBE of retaliating against him after he refused to make a music video for HYBE and wrote a petition in support of Min Hee-jin. Yeah. So according to Shin, Adore threatened legal action, including demanding compensation double the amount of Adore paid to create the videos if the videos were not taken down by Monday morning.
I see.
Yeah. However, the notice was only given on Sunday evening. So that was just right, a day before they asked him to take down the videos. So there's a lot, going on that we don't know. I'm sure there is a lot of 내부 사정, internal, conflict and situation.
Yes.
But anyhow, it seems like Shin Woo-seok has more sympathy towards Min Hee-jin because we all know about what's going on between Min Hee-jin and HYBE. So Shin Woo-seok is seems like teaming up with Min Hee-jin in this controversial case and decided somehow to take down all the music videos for NewJeans. So whatever conflict is going on within HYBE and Adore, it's getting bigger and larger, and we'll have to see how it unfolds.
Now it's like involving third parties as well. So, it's not dying down. All right. And for our next item, what are we talking about?
Okay. So last but not least, 서울의 봄. I'm sure you remember.
Yes.
서울의 봄 used to be the largest, and most successful film last year.
Right.
And in English, it's called, December 12th, The Day. And this movie has been chosen unanimously as Korean entry for the Academy Awards.
Oh.
So this is next year is going to be the 97th 97회 Academy Awards. And the 서울의 봄 will be entering its international feature film category. According to the Korean Film Council. That's
Yes.
영화진흥위원회. So every year, I didn't know this, but every year, 영화진흥위원회 or KOFIC selects a Korean film to submit to the Academy Awards' International Feature Film category, following a request from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences
Right.
For recommendation. And 서울의 봄 was unanimously selected by the KOFIC judges as Korea's entry.
Wow. The fact that, I'm sure they vote and stuff, but the fact that it was unanimous, that means everybody's behind this film. They want this film to represent Korea because that's how it goes. One film per country for the international features.
Yes. And I'm sure, this must have been a unanimous decision because this was the most successful film last year, right? So the Academy Awards will announce the nominees by the end of the year.
Yes.
Ahead of its ceremony held in March next year.
Yes. So we will wait to see how well it does at the Academy Awards. But for now, you're letting us know that that's the selection. It was unanimous. And so we'll see how it does at the Academy Awards, right?
Yeah. 화이팅입니다.
Yes. And people are sending you whitings too. And they're like, I don't know, JB loves commenting. He says, 처음에는 퀭해 보이시더니 음악을 얘기할 때 눈빛이 반짝이는 마이클 표정이 멋있는 듯합니다.
감사합니다. 이렇게.
Because no matter how you're feeling, it's like your genuine love for music, it shows. It comes through.
I think it's the 월요병.
Oh,
maybe that's
Monday
it.
blues. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll have a better rest of the day. But thanks for
감사합니다.
coming in, and we'll definitely check in with you next week. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna get to our final song for our number one. 주저하는 연인들을 위해. This is by 잔나비. I'll be back at 8.
쉬운 마음이야 당신도 쓱 훑고 가셔요 달랠 길 없는 외로운 마음 있지 머물다 가셔요 내게 긴 여운을 남겨줘요 사랑을 해줘요 할 수 있다면 그럴 수만 있다면 새하얀 빛으로 그댈 비춰줄까요 수 없네. 미련 남길 바엔 그리워 아픈 게 나 서둘러 안겨본 그 품은 따스할 테니 그러다 밤이 찾아오면 우리 둘만의 비밀을 새겨요. 추억할 그 밤 위에 갈피를 꽂고서 난 몰래 펼쳐보여. 언젠가 또 그날이 온대도 우리 서둘러 뒤돌지 말아요. 마주보던 그대로 뒷걸음치면서 서로의 안녕을 보아요.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요? 과거와 현재, 미래가 공존하는 항구도시 부산. 이곳 부산은 계절을 물들이는 다양한 축제로 늘 풍성합니다. 봄의 시작을 알리는 봄꽃 축제부터 부산의 여름을 만끽하는 바다 축제, 전 세계 영화인들이 모이는 부산국제영화제와 새로운 시작의 해맞이 축제까지. 부산의 축제는 우리의 열정을 가득 담고 있습니다. 바쁜 일상은 잠시 뒤로 하고 특별한 시간을 선물 받는 바로 이곳 부산에서 우리의 삶은 축제가 됩니다. 축제로 하나 되는 부산, 여러분은 어떤 축제를 기다리시나요? 이 캠페인은 대선공익재단과 BFM 부산 영어방송이 함께합니다.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
부산 글로벌 도시재단 대표이사 전용우입니다. 부산은 물류, 금융, 영상, 관광, 첨단 산업 등 핵심 분야에서 또 한 번의 도약을 준비하고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산의 비전은 부산을 넘어 대한민국의 균형 발전을 촉진할 새로운 계기가 될 것입니다. 부산 글로벌 도시재단은 세계 시민을 연결하는 네트워크로 도시 외교의 중추적 역할을 담당하고 글로벌 부산의 미디어 플랫폼인 부산 영어방송을 통해 영어하기 편한 도시 부산을 만들고 있습니다. 글로벌 허브 도시 부산, 그 중심에 부산 글로벌 도시재단이 있습니다.
Busan Global City Foundation leads the Global Hub City Busan.
안녕하세요, 강남입니다. 오늘은 멋진 우리 이웃들 한번 만나볼까요? 부지런한 K 사장님 로빈 씨, 오늘 많이 바쁘세요?
한국인은 밥심인데 밥 먹을 시간도 없어요.
할 땐 하는 프로 직장인 로렌 씨, 일하면서 제일 기쁜 순간은?
퇴근할 때?
윙크장인 트로트 가수 레오 씨, 어쩌다 트로트를 하게 됐어요?
한국의 흥에 반했죠.
여러분도 이런 멋진 이웃들과 함께 살고 계시죠? 다 함께 내일을 만들어가는 다문화 이주 배경 이웃들. 우리는 모두 우리입니다. 공익광고협의회.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Good morning, Dynamic Busan.
Yeah, you're waking up. Time to shake it up. Tell the world good morning and find out what's going on.
Well, hi there, folks. There's everything from comedy to lively chat to music.
Broadcasting from a room about the size of your closet.
All calls are recorded. What show is this?
Live from Korea's dynamic city, this is Morning Wave in Busan. I'm sorry, who'd you say you were?
It is now 8 o'clock, and this is news highlights. North Korea launches trash balloons for fifth day. North Korea sent more trash balloons towards South Korea yesterday in its fifth straight day of such launches, according to the Joint Chiefs of Staff, or JCS. The JCS said that the military will resolutely and calmly respond in accordance with the manual. The military has been blasting anti-Pyongyang propaganda in response to the balloon launches. Some 40 balloons fell in Seoul and surrounding areas yesterday. The military maintains the position to not shoot down the balloons directly for safety concerns. This comes as North Korea commemorates the September 9th day of the foundation of the Republic today. Government and doctors group torn again over med school quota hike withdrawal for 2025. Officials from the Korea Medical Association, or KMA, demanded that the government cancel its plans to raise the medical school admissions quota for both 2025 and 2026 as a precondition to possible talks with a joint consultative body. The government and the ruling People Power Party have also proposed the establishment of a joint consultative body involving rival parties and the medical community to seek a breakthrough. The presidential office said that withdrawing plans for 2025 is impossible, as admissions have already begun, but it is open to any and all proposals for 2026. Military pulls soldiers' photos from its intranet due to deepfake concerns. Photos of soldiers, military, and defense ministry officials have been made unavailable over the Onnara intranet system over concerns they could be abused to make sexually abusive deepfake images. The military said that it is unknown whether these photos were abused for deepfake content, but the officials pull the photos as a preventive measure. Only those with due authority can access such photos. South Korea exceeds Paralympics goal with 6 gold medals. South Korea has captured its 6th gold medal at the Paris Paralympics to exceed its target. Table tennis's Kim Young-gun won the men's single in the MS4 classification, taking his 5th career Paralympics gold, which makes him the 2nd most decorated Paralympian in South Korea. Table tennis player Yoon Ji-yoo and wheelchair fencer Kwon Hyo-kyung also added 2 silver medals on Sunday local time. The country wraps up the game with 6 gold medals, 10 silver, and 4 bronze, putting it in 22nd place overall. "14 dead in Vietnam as Typhoon Yagi causes landslide. At least 14 have died and 176 injured from Typhoon Yagi, as Asia's most powerful typhoon this year ripped through Vietnam. A family of 4 was killed in a landslide in the mountainous Hoa Binh province of northern Vietnam early on Sunday morning local time. That's according to state media. The typhoon has devastated the country's infrastructure before being downgraded into a tropical depression. Before hitting Vietnam, Yagi tore through southern China and the Philippines, killing at least 24 and injuring dozens of others. And this was News Highlights. now time for Waggle Waggle. So we have Haley back in the studio.
Good morning again.
All right, first, a grandmother is facing attempted murder charges, and these are for against her own grandchild.
Right.
True
So
story?
everyone's okay. Let's get that out of the way.
Yes.
But Daegu Seongsu police have booked a woman in her 70s for allegedly trying to kill her own grandson. So this happened last week, where she allegedly wielded a weapon against him, who's said to be in his preteens. So the boy was hurt, not critically. He's under treatment. He ran out of her home after the attack, and the neighbors called the police. And then apparently afterwards, she tried to take her own life, but she too is okay, under treatment right now as well.
Okay.
So the police investigation revealed that the grandmother had been stressed over having to take care of her grandson. So there were some issues previously. And on the day of the incident, he was supposed to go to school. He didn't, and instead went to his grandmother's home, which is in the same apartment complex.
Okay.
So, and this kind of brings up the larger issue, perhaps, of this so-called sunset child rearing, or grandparents taking care of their grandchildren in their later years, which has become very commonplace in Korea. But not without its problems, too, it seems.
Right.
So according to data for parents who do seek third-party childcare, 83% ask their own parents, so the children's grandparents, to do this for them. And of course, that can be part-time or even full-time. Every family is different, but there are clearly physical and even financial strains on the grandparents, as well as emotional as well. However, in Korea, there's actually no systematic support for either the parents or the grandparents, which has led to experts calling for a change in the childcare system, where grandparents' childcare can only be supplementary, that they're called in perhaps to babysit, but unless they want to, they're not, honed in as primary caregivers.
Right. I mean, this is such a tough issue because we have the cultural norms in Korea,
Right.
but also in modern times, the reality of grandparents as well.
Absolutely.
So, such a tragic story. Well, let's go to the UK. Apparently, there's a woman in the UK who has 800 tattoos. Let's hear about her story.
Right. So UK media outlet has shown a spotlight onto this mom of 7 kids who have 800 tattoos, including, at that point, that's all over her body, including her face. So this is a 46-year-old Melissa Sloan. She is one of Britain's most tattooed women. Her story last year actually caught the public's attention when she back then revealed that she cannot get a job because of her tattoos.
Oh.
So she says that her 7 kids don't mind the tattoos, but other people, especially her kids' children's the parents do. The friends' parents do. So she says that whenever she goes outside, she feels the other people's eyes on her. And she wants to do things like going back to school shopping, and you can see her previous face without pre-tattoos and then kind of the slow progression. She wants to do things like, go back to school shopping and grocery shopping. But then whenever she steps onto the store or the aisle, some kids laugh, others cry, and everyone stares. She's also, this is quite sad, had experience being banned from school supply stores, bars, churches, even from her own kids' schools and her own mother's funeral. I'm assuming that's the church part.
Okay. Well, I'm curious as to whether there's a reason she chose to get so many tattoos.
There is. So the tattoos started as a way of therapy for her to cope with years of sex abuse by her stepbrother.
Oh.
So his half-brother. She revealed that her half-brother abused her for years before he was sent to jail for raping other children. So he was a convicted pedophile. So this started as a way for her to hide behind the world physically, behind the tattoos. But she says that now that he's in jail, she can finally start to feel free. So she actually has a dream of proving people wrong to become a lawyer. So, yeah.
Interesting story. And started with tragedy, right? To
Right.
cope, a coping mechanism.
So really a lesson to not judge a book by its cover. I mean, definitely unconventional, but
yes. Yes. All
You
right.
do have to wonder about the bands, though.
Right, like about the bands. All right. Well, now we're going to go to Italy, where its culture minister has resigned after a scandal involving a fashion influencer 20 years his junior.
He had an
What's going
affair
on?
with her. And he admitted, that's okay. So this is Italian former culture minister Gerano Sangiuliano, who resigned from his post on Friday local time after he admitted to this affair. So Sangiuliano on Wednesday, he was forced to admit the affair with the social media influencer Maria Rosaria Boccia, whom he tried to hire as a ministry consultant.
Oh
yeah. So
crossing the line there.
Definitely. So she is 41 years old. He's 62. She has been seen accompanying him in many official events, including the culture minister's meeting at the G7. Yeah, definitely. I can't say many things that I would like to.
Yes.
And she being an influencer on social media, she's posted multiple pictures with her kind of boss, the culture minister / boyfriend on social media. So then that raised accusations of whether Sangiuliano was spending public funding because his trips are funded by the government.
That's right.
He's going to G7. But then if he's taking his girlfriend then, is that okay? And then there was another instance of a photo with her on their airplane, and there was classified documents on the table. So then it's like, did she have, and you can see the many, many pictures, then it's like, did she have access to classified information as well? Right. So he did admit to the personal issues, the affair, apologizing to his wife. So he is married. Also the Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni. But he denied other accusations, including spending public funding to fund these trips. And he said he did consider hiring her as a consultant, but he didn't due to a possible conflict of interest. He did present bank statements showing that for any travels and accommodations that his girlfriend was a part of, he paid with his own personal expenses. However, there is an audit into this matter.
They definitely should look into it.
Yeah, those are taxpayer funds.
There's a lot of photos posted, so don't leave a trail, people. All right, in line with our top story, a K-pop song made it into a Korean language textbook for high school students.
Right, so this song is Yuna's 사건의 지평선, the event Horizon. Now it's a part of high school 1 and 2 Korean language literature course.
Oh, really?
Right, so that question where the lyrics are featured, it's about the speaker or the author's attitude and metaphoric interpretation of this so-called event Horizon. Because the song's deep. So this was released back in 2022. Of course, one of the most popular songs of that year. But it started fairly low in the charts, had been climbing its way up the charts, making it to the top 5 for Melon's yearly chart.
Okay.
So Yuna apparently has an interest in astronomy and space. So the event Horizon, what it is, it's a boundary beyond which events cannot affect an observer anymore. So this is why they consider to be the boundary of a black hole. Once inside, all matter will be torn apart to its smallest subatomic components and basically eventually be squeezed into singularity.
Wow.
So in the interpretation of the song, the event Horizon is about kind of a breakup, but the paradox of wanting to continue on with the relationship and still having feelings for a person, but also accepting the fact that, bygones be bygones. This is beyond the event Horizon.
Yes.
It has come to an end. So, yeah.
So deep.
Very deep.
Oh, hopefully we can get a snippet of that later on.
But then maybe the kids won't feel like it's been ruined because now they have to write essays and solve problems about it. It's like, ugh. Way to ruin a song. Right.
Ruined forever. All right. Lastly, the Paris Paralympics are over, but let's review Team Korea's performance.
Yes. So South Korea, as you said, they achieved their goal of being in the 20s for the ranking in 22nd place and also exceeded the goal for the gold medal count. Of course, it's not just about the medals, but that's
a part of it.
That's the number we get. So once again, 6 gold medals, 10 silvers, and 14 bronze medals. Another important aspect was to pass down the torch onto the next generation of para-athletes.
Okay.
And this was, according to the delegation, it was a half success. So half of the delegation for Team Korea was first-time athletes, which is incredible. And they did see some successes, notably latest silver medalist Kwon Hyo-kyung. She won in her very first Paralympics run.
Okay.
And the team's youngest athlete, only 19 years old. The bocce player Seo Min-gyu, he went to 4th place, so he didn't medal, but
still.
He's 19. He
Right.
has many, many years to go.
Sure.
But then there was still a pattern of kind of concentrated medaling in specific events like sharpshooting and table tennis, which accounted for most. And most important of all, airtime. And I did go through, so we really did try to kind of cover it almost
Yes.
every day. I believe
Yes,
it was
yes.
every day. But then, when it came to TV airing these, channels airing these events, so the 3 public broadcasters, and this is a systematic issue too, because they're not required by law to air the Paralympics.
I see.
By the way, they are required by law to air the World Cup and the Olympics because these events are legally classified as competitions of national interest. So under broadcasting law, they do have to air them. So NBC and SBS had under 100 minutes of coverage per day. So this doesn't just include like actual events on air, but news coverage of them as well. And KBS did air major competitions live on its website, not much coverage on TV time either.
Okay.
But here's the thing, it's not just about us being able to see them and cheer the athletes on, but that directly relates to support and sponsorships. And for these elite athletes, money matters.
It does.
Right.
It does. And obviously, money's made from advertisers.
Right,
but if
right.
They don't advertise.
And
yes.
that comes from increased exposure. So everything's
Exactly.
related. But, well done, Team Korea.
Yes,
and here's
absolutely.
to, next year.
And I'm so glad we covered the Paralympics.
Right.
So thank you for doing that. I do appreciate it. We all appreciate it. Everybody, this was Haley. We'll check in with her tomorrow.
Have a great day.
All right, everybody. And now it's time for your updated traffic and weather. It is now time for your updated traffic and weather. There was an accident on Chungjang-daero near the Yeongju overpass going towards the customs office. It's been cleared, but it's still causing some backup. It's slow on Hwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel and Baekyang Tunnel as well. Backed up on Gwanghwan Bridge, it's going towards the Taeyeon overpass. There's also congestion on Jungwon-daero from City Hall to Yangjeong intersection. As for the weather, it's currently 28. I do see some hazy sunshine, at least in the Santum area. But it feels like it's almost 30 as there is high humidity, the daytime high. It's going to go up to 32 with the sun coming down. That's coming in the PM. Looking across the nation, we have late summer heat that's going to persist in some areas of the capital. Plus, Jeolla, Gyeongsang, and Gangwon will see showers. This was your traffic and weather. So here it is. This is 사건의 지평선. This is by Yoonha.
생각이 많은 건 말이야 당연히 해야 할 일이야 나에겐 우리가 지금 1순위야 안전한 유리병을 핑계로 바람을 가둬둔 것 같지만 기억나 그날의 우리가 잡았던 그 손엔 말이야 설레임보다 커다란 믿음이 담겨서 난 한 번 웃음을 줬지만 울음이 날 것도 같아서 소중한 건 언제나 두려움이니까 문을 열면 들리던 목소리 너로 인해 변해 있던 따뜻한 공기 여전히 자신 없지만 안녕히 저기 사라진 별의 자리 아스라이 하얀 빛 한동안은 꺼내 볼 수 있을 거야 아낌없이 반짝이는 솔직히 두렵기도 하지만 노력은 우리에게 정답이 아니라서 마지막 선물은 산뜻한 안녕 저기 사라진 별의 자리 아스라이 하얀 빛 한동안은 꺼내볼 수 있을 거야 아낌없이 반짝인 시간은 조금씩 흩어져 가더라도 너는 맘에 살아 숨 쉴 테니 여긴 서로의 끝이 아닌 새로운 게 목표인 익숙함에 진심을 속이지 말자 하나 둘 추억이 떠오르면 많이 많이 그리워할 거야 고맙어요 그래도 이제는 사건의 지평선 너머로 저기 사라진 별의 자리 아스라이 하얀 빛 한동안은 꺼내볼 수 있을 거야 아낌없이 반짝인 시간은 조금씩 흩어져 가더라도 너는 맘에 살아 숨 쉴 테니 여긴 서로의 끝이 아닌 새로운 게 목표인 익숙함에 진심을 속이지 말자 하나 둘 추억이 떠오르면 많이 많이 그리워할 거야 고맙어요 그래도 이제는 사건의 지평선 너머로 사건의 지평선 너머로
All right, listeners, welcome back. So we've been talking about songs and lyrics, melody. What captures you first? What kind of like really hooks you in? So a lot of you have been sending in your favorite songs with the greatest lyrics in your time. So Lee Kelly says, Man in the Mirror. And he says, I believe Be Blessed... by Blessed Union of Souls also has great lyrics, and he mentions a couple other songs as well. Young is joining us on Kakao Talk as well, saying, Good morning, Kat. For sure, the rhythm is the music first, and then the lyrics. And if the rhythm is not very cool, I can't listen to it anymore. I don't listen to it anymore. So for Young, it depends, but usually with the melody and then, or the rhythm and then the lyrics. So many of you are saying that it kind of depends on the genre of the song, because some people are saying like for like hip hop or like rap, they listen to kind of the beat or the melody, and then with ballads, it's definitely the lyrics. So yes, hopefully we'll be able to play at least one of the songs. You've been sending in many of your favorite lyrics to some of those songs, so maybe if we can squeeze one last one in. All right, for now though, we're going to get to our special interview. I'll be back in just a moment. In light of the Taliban's newly imposed vice and virtue laws that silence and erase women from public life in Afghanistan, the world faces urgent questions about gender equality and human rights. And so these laws not only ban women from speaking or showing their faces in public, but also basically criminalize their voices. So this has led to widespread condemnation from human rights groups and the UN. Today, though, we're going to explore how these draconian measures represent a return to the Taliban's oppressive policies and what this really means for Afghan women today. Joining us is Ms. Metra Mehran, who is the Gender and Policy Advisor for the Strategic Litigation Project at the Atlantic Council. Let's say hi. Hi, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so can we talk about these new vice and virtue laws which ban women from what I understand is from speaking or even showing their faces in public compared to, let's say, the Taliban laws going back to maybe the 1990s?
Yes, unfortunately, since the Taliban took over control of Afghanistan on August 2021, they started criminalizing basically womanhood because their movement, their ideology and philosophy is very misogynistic. So now Afghanistan is one of the only countries on earth where every basic right of women are restricted or controlled by the Taliban laws, including right to education, employment, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, access to justice, or even going to parks and restaurants. And what happened last week was and then for these laws, they have Ministry of Vice and Virtue that violently enforce it. What happened last week, they formalized and expanded this law by publishing it on the National Gazette, where they went too far and even criminalized face and voices of women. So the law says that voice of woman and their face is aura. It should be covered because it causes temptation and seduction in the society. But the question that I talk with women inside Afghanistan is how they can survive then, if they need to go to groceries, if they need to go to hospital, if they are sick. And then there is another restriction that asks women, even if for the necessary or essential needs like groceries and food and doctor or medical care, they should be chaperoned by a man from their family. If they go alone outside without a male company, they are subject to imprisonment, torture, and even there are going to be consequences for the man in the families, either that be their fathers, brothers, or husbands, or sons, or son-in-laws. So basically, Afghanistan is an open prison for women. The Taliban has criminalized womanhood. Basically, as long as you are a woman, everything you do, from walking to going to work to going to school, is either restricted or banned to you. So Afghanistan is the only country where girls cannot go to school. So you don't see any female school beyond grade 6 open, no university, and women cannot even take private courses, and they cannot work. So the situation is really bad. And the recent law that was published as regulations for the Minister of Vice and Virtue, I think went too far and formalized and expanded the already existing draconian, systematic, and institutionalized gender-based discrimination of the Taliban.
Yes. So some people are calling this of the many word choices, gender apartheid. If you can explain why it's so important for the world to recognize how bad it is for the women and the girls in Afghanistan. Can you tell us a little bit more?
So living under Taliban's regime, where gender-based discrimination is systematic and institutionalized, women inside Afghanistan describe their experience as gender apartheid. And also at the In Gender Apartheid campaign, we are calling for the codification of it as a crime inside international law or under international law. The reason they call it gender apartheid is what's happening in Afghanistan is just not any social or cultural act. It's the discrimination against women that they have, that they are basically being stripped of every single right is by law, by policy. And it's the police and soldiers of the Taliban regime that's violently enforcing it. So they have even dismantled all the laws and organizations and mechanisms that were there to support women. So there is no access to that justice. So that's why we are like, what's happening in Afghanistan is not any cultural or social act. It's not a group or individual doing it, but it's by law and by the Taliban's regime that is controlling and governing Afghanistan. So it should be criminalized under international law because the framework of apartheid that already is recognized as a crimes against humanity for the basis of race exists there, that framework. But we are asking is within that framework we should add gender alongside race. So what happens in Afghanistan be criminalized too, so the Taliban can be kept accountable, and also it brings international obligations for other parties and other states on how to engage and respond to the situation of Afghanistan, where women are basically dehumanized.
Yes. And in reality, who can enforce these laws? Because basically, it seems that these new, laws, that they don't want to hear women's voices. They don't want to see the faces, just basically erasing women from public, generally speaking. So who enforces these laws? Can anyone enforce them?
So the Minister of Voice and they have another office called the Directorate of Monitoring and Implementation of Decrees, or two offices of the Taliban that they have morality soldiers or morality police that implement these laws. Their governance, their army, their the soldiers and they have. But for the Minister of Voice and Virtue in these decrees that no one should hear voice of woman, or no one should see face of woman, or the woman should be chaperoned or accompanied by a man of the family. It is actually the morality soldiers that in the law they call them muhtasibin, and it defined the authority of the muhtasib. The scary thing is muhtasib doesn't need to, or that morality police doesn't need to go through any due process or rely on any law about these laws. If he perceives that a woman on the street is not abiding by one of these decrees, he is authorized to arbitrarily arrest them, imprison them, and torture them. And what happens is, to make sure that it works, that women are controlled, so they have now these new laws that also make men in the family subject to punishment. It says if a woman is not dressed properly, it's actually going to be the men in the family who will be punished up to 3 days at the beginning, and it can be extended. So yes, Taliban with their morality police outside, they are controlling the public space, but they are introducing other laws, like punishing men in the family for something they perceive that a woman has done, that they authorize directly men to be controlled inside the house too. So basically, for women, both inside private space and public space is now controlled in Afghanistan by this draconian laws.
Right. And, the Taliban spokesman, Zabihullah Mujahid, has said that the concerns about how women are treated in Afghanistan, that these are just quote unquote cultural differences. I mean, that's what he says. But how can the international community respond to this whole absurd idea that these are just cultural differences and it's not, damping out and just basically stomping out the rights of women in Afghanistan?
So that's, his claims are just an excuse for themselves. Because what happened is, I was living in Afghanistan till the Taliban came, and now I'm in exile advocating for recognition of gender apartheid. Millions of girls were going to school. Thousands of universities and schools were open for women to go there. Millions of women were working as doctors, engineers, teachers, in public service and private sector. So it's not a culture of Afghanistan. It's a misogynistic, internationally recognized terrorist group controlling it, and they need this. One of the things that we speak about gender apartheid is the intention of Taliban are important, and for the sustainability of their regime, they need to control women. They need to make a society that is, that their system can breathe. That's why we say inside Afghanistan, Taliban are oppressing everyone so harshly that there is no justice system people can go to. So that's why we need to rely on international law and international justice system. Afghanistan as a state has international obligation, regardless of which group or government are in power. As a state, for example, we have signed CEDAW, and International Criminal Justice Court can call them criminal. They have, trade and transaction with different countries. They are part of international community. They are receiving millions of dollars bi-weekly for humanitarian aid from international community. They are in transaction with different countries. So that's why we have, for example, International Criminal Court. And then for gender apartheid, it's a framework that brings third state responsibility, where other countries will have certain obligations towards Afghanistan. So that's how international law can keep Taliban accountable, and Taliban cannot operate, as an isolated force while they rely for humanitarian aid, millions of dollars on bi-weekly basis to just feed the people. So that's why there are, different layers and measurements and mechanisms that actually can help as advocates and activists to keep the Taliban accountable. And for that process, we need solidarity and support of people. And I thank you so much for having me. That's why it was very important for me to come here, for giving us a platform to ask people in South Korea, to ask their governments to vote for gender apartheid here in New York and support the codification. And also we need solidarity and support of women in South Korea and men, of course, that give hope for women inside Afghanistan who are resisting under control and tyranny of the Taliban. And I think solidarity from international community also gives hope for the women inside Afghanistan to keep resisting.
Well, thank you so much for explaining what's happening to women and girls in Afghanistan, so we have a better understanding. And of course, thank you for all the work that you do as well. We're going to wrap up our interview, but thank you for coming on air with us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, once again, this was Ms. Metra Mehran, and we talked about this recent ban. We talked about it previously here on Morning Wave in Busan, but to really get into the nitty-gritty of what's happening within that country, of things we take for granted, men and women, children, in a democratic country like Korea, the freedom to just speak our mind, to show our faces, being on air with you, to have you hear my voice as a female. It really, really tugs at the heartstrings about what's happening there. And I certainly hope that we as a community can put pressure on our representatives to make sure that our voices are heard and our opinions are heard. This was our special interview. We're going to take a short song break. 4663 님 texted in this waiver that the lyrics of 편지 by Kim Kwang-jin really capture my heart because they're so sincere. So we're going to play it for you right now.
억지 노력으로 인연을 거슬러 괴롭히지는 않겠어. 하고 싶은 말 하려 했던 말 이대로 다 남겨두고서 혹시나 기대도 포기하
Get your local up-to-date news from Korea and abroad right here on Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Stay tuned.
It is now time for Business Perspectives. We have Bobby in the house. Good morning.
Good morning, Catherine. How are you?
I'm doing great. How was your weekend?
It was nice. I was enjoying the midweek last week because the humidity was going down. But man, this past weekend, it just shot back up. So I can't wait for the rest of this week. It's supposed to get a little cooler. they say.
Supposedly. We've been saying for like how long? And it's like, I love you, summer, but you need to go.
Yes. I want that crisp fall smell.
I can't wait. Yes. Okay, so what do you have for us today? Oh, we're continuing. Part two, like I requested because it was such a hot topic.
So last week we started on the industry, the black market industry or counterfeit goods market, and just to give our listeners a little. Review.
Yes.
But we'll pick it up kind of like, really, going back to ancient times.
Yes.
But more recently, the counterfeit goods market has proliferated, with the rise of globalization as well as the internet. A lot of growth in this underground market. It makes it making it easier for counterfeit goods to be produced as well as distributed worldwide.
Okay.
In terms of overall size, and that's pretty outstanding, pretty interesting, right? Back in the 1980s, this market was estimated to be $30 billion.
Right.
Now in 2022, it's grown to over $3 trillion.
That's like the economy of a huge country.
Yes.
$3 trillion.
100x, right, in the span of 40 years, right? Now, a lot of that growth was driven by several factors, such as more demand for luxury goods.
Yes.
Internet with the rise of e-commerce. Also, just overall sophistication of counterfeit production techniques. So producers are getting better and smarter at reproducing these counterfeit goods. And in terms of if we think about the industries that have been affected, several industries are heavily affected by the counterfeit goods market. And overall, research has shown that almost 50% of brands are losing sales to counterfeit goods.
That's huge.
Yeah. It's not just 50% of their sales, but just 50% of brands have some impact due to counterfeit goods.
Yes.
Now, when we look at certain industries, so fashion and luxury goods sectors are the most impacted. So luxury goods such as Louis Vuitton or Gucci and Nike.
Yes.
Now, when we think about the luxury goods market, yes, they will lose sales, but on top of that, for a luxury good brand, it's really about diluting their brand or their image.
Okay.
Right. So obviously, they want to try to keep this exclusivity, but when you see more and more people wearing that brand or that good, kind of diminishes that overall value.
Sure.
Another one is that kind of caught my interest was the pharmaceutical industry. So
counterfeit drugs. Right.
Yes. Some serious health risks there.
Right.
Other industries, electronics, automotive parts, cosmetics, right?
I'm very curious, though. I want to know, because this is news.
Yeah.
Which goods or which brands are the most counterfeited? Is there a list?
So looking at the top 10 counterfeited brands.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people would but Nike.
I was Nike. I was thinking, pricier than in the past.
Sure.
Definitely not your parents, brand anymore. Back in the day, it wasn't that pricey, but these days, sometimes I look at the tag and I'm like, really? For a sweatshirt?
Yes, their apparel and footwear,
right.
And they have all these retro stuff. So, that's a big market there.
Yes.
Right. So footwear and apparel, that's Nike. Another one, Adidas. Number 2, so footwear.
Yes.
Then we get into like the luxury goods, so Louis Vuitton.
Oh, it's like one of the top brands. Yes.
Handbags and accessories.
What about for like watches? I'm not that one. The Rolex. Yeah. Okay. Rolex. But this is news. This is news.
Yes.
That's why we're not advertising brand. Yes. Top
again,
counterfeit
luxury
brands.
Yeah, luxury watches.
Right.
Gucci.
The usual
fashion
suspects.
brand. Yes.
Right.
Chanel. Handbags, perfumes, accessories.
Yes.
Apple.
Apple.
So their phones as well as accessories.
How do you get a fake Apple phone? There's such a thing?
No, and I think one of the things that I've been reading, it's like some of these fake goods, they're made in the same manufacturing facility. They just don't go out the front door. They
go out
somehow
the
make it out the back door.
Oh, that's terrible.
So that's
Right. I see.
Also another brand out of the top 10, Ray-Ban. For
sunglasses for shades. Okay.
Levi's jeans, the denim, iconic denim.
Okay, but still like surprising. But okay, I get it.
And rounding out the list of 10.
Yes.
Samsung.
Ah.
Smartphones and electronics. So that's a big one. That's a big
see.
category. Right?
We just got in a message from Drift Monkey saying, I hate counterfeit car parts.
Ooh.
That's interesting. Automotive parts.
Yeah, automotive parts.
You
That's one of the
mentioned-
high ones.
Right.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And
He's in that industry, so.
right.
So.
Okay. I'd like to understand from that perspective, is it because the quality or just the fact that it's just you don't know what you're getting then? I'm not
I'm
really
from
sure.
a consumer, consumer's perspective too, though. It's like I wouldn't know if I was like if I had to go in to get my car fixed, like if it's counterfeited, like an automotive part or not. To be honest, would I know? No, I wouldn't. I don't know how to tell the difference, right?
Me neither.
That's okay. So some of the usual suspects I get. Okay.
And then some surprising ones. We talked about before the pharmaceutical drugs. Right, major health risks. But also, a couple years ago, I'm sure you heard about like in China the baby formula. So and then the effect that it has had, right? Some deaths. Also, another one that caught my attention were food products.
Food products, like
yes,
really, like what?
Coffee and chocolate.
Fake coffee,
Yes.
or like just
So-
the off-brand.
Yes, so that's what it is. It's not like
okay.
when I was reading into it, I was like, fake? How do you make fake chocolate or coffee? So it's really like off-brand.
Like
really.
low quality chocolate, but they stick on or slap on like some brand name chocolate.
Or they used a likeness of the brand name to trick the consumer to think it's the real thing.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yes.
But I can see that happening.
Yes.
So DM, he said, quality is always compromised. It's a follow-up to his counterfeit car parts. Because that's why he hates it, because the quality drops. It's always compromised when it's not real.
When it's not real. Okay.
Okay.
So that's not coming out the back.
Yes. That's like real fake. Right. Real counterfeit.
Another one is, I was looking at this one and just looking at like the demographic impact or, the differences or regional differences. So in terms of overall demographics, and it kind of makes sense, regions with high poverty rates, they turn to counterfeiting more out of necessity. Right?
Okay.
Now, when we look at the flip side, wealthier regions, consumers may seek these goods for exclusivity or avoiding high taxes. And this country in South Korea makes that list. And the demand for counterfeit luxury goods is driven by the desire to display social status.
Oh, yeah.
Without the high cost.
Right.
Right. And also in terms of when we look at regions and generations, so when we look at Asia, a lot of the counterfeit market for electronics and luxury goods is significant here in Asia. And when we look at generations, the younger generations, because they are more tech savvy, they're able to navigate other areas like the dark web to access counterfeit goods.
Oh. Yes. Well... So, in terms of anything else you want to add before we get to our phrase of the week?
Yeah, I think when we think about the future of the counterfeit goods market, it's a huge industry, right? And I don't think it's ever going to die down. Yes, there are some government regulations and companies that are working with government, but overall it continues to thrive. And here are some of the reasons. Just consumer demand is high.
Right.
So overall quantity, the increased availability, whether whether it's online, e-commerce, or even the production of these goods, right? Also, in terms of profitability for the producer. And the quality overall is continually getting better.
Yes.
And it's interesting that fake products, as they get better, there's another category called super fakes.
What are super fakes?
They're so close to the genuine product.
That you can't even tell?
Yes. So that's another category within fake goods. Super
And then
fakes.
Leslie wants to make a point. She says there's a difference between generic and counterfeit. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
generic just basically means you are legally producing something that is like low cost or like a store brand.
Or
off brand.
Yes.
Versus counterfeit meaning they're illegal. They're making it look like it's a brand when it's not a brand. It's something completely different, right? That's what we're talking about. So, what's the phrase of the week?
The phrase of the week. The real McCoy.
Oh, the real McCoy.
It means the real thing or the genuine article.
Yes.
And when we talked about the fake goods market, I want to remind us all to always check if it is the real McCoy. So now for those that may be willing to purchase fake products due to the lower cost, always be aware that you usually get what you pay for, just like one of our listeners was saying for the car parts, right?
Yes.
But really, I want to turn the attention back to us. And, I'm sure you've heard the expression, fake it till you make it. And, it's used a lot in the startup space, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just whether you're trying to prove your concept or whether you're trying to raise funds, you're trying to keep good talent. But I just want to remind ourselves, especially in the area of our professional career space, to encourage us to bring the best of ourselves and the real McCoy each and every day.
I love that, the real McCoy.
As they say, you may trick some of the people all of the time, or you may trick all the people some of the time, but you will not trick all the people all of the time.
Oh, that's a good point to be taken. So by the way,
yes,
people are calling us Cabby, Catherine and Bobby. Saying you bring a smile to their faces. So thank you so much, Bobby.
No, thank you.
All right, we'll check in with you next week, okay?
Yeah, have a great week, everyone.
All right, here's another song with great lyrics, Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston. So we're going to say goodbye on that note. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
Our future, teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who fulfilled my needs. A lonely place to be, and so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadows. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself, it is the greatest love of all. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.